What's up, you guys? You're watching Sergio's Secret. Before I start with today's video, if you can please give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe button. I'll leave everything linked down below, including what I'm wearing, if you're interested. And without further ado, let's get started with today's video. So today's video is such a highly requested video. I did a video on this about like a year ago, but I really didn't go into too much detail nor give kind of recommendations of other belts that I really like. I decided today would be a perfect day to kind of talk about designer belts because I always get asked about it. I will talk about all types of belts, and a lot of these belts are unisex. So for all my guys that are watching this, I do tend to talk about a little bit more about women's wear. There's belts that you will like and that you would wear. So let's go ahead and get started with the video. So I always get asked, Sergio, what are the designer belts that you have in your collection? I want to know. I have about 4 belts in my collection. 2 of them are kind of like no brand, and then the other 2 belts that I have are designer. And the first one that I have is going to be this Hermes belt, and it is this Hermes H belt. As you can see, it is very used. Like, I haven't even used this one no more than 30 times. Like, I kid you not. But as you can see, the scratches and the wear on it is just so freaking much. Like, like you can see in it, I haven't even worn this 30 times. It is reversible. You can make it to the brown side, and you can kind of give it a different look for it. But I will say, for the most part, with this silver belt, I do tend to wear a lot more in the black than the brown. It's really nice to have the brown because sometimes it does look really cute with maybe an old brown outfit and maybe some other color loafers. It can look cute, but for the most part, for this Hermes H belt, la mera verdad, I tend to use it more as a black belt. And this one is in a size 85, and I bought this one about maybe like 18 months ago. I think in August is my 2-year anniversary with this Hermes belt. When I first bought it, I wore it out maybe the first day, and I wore it kind of here and there, but I didn't really wear it a lot. Now, since I'm living in the city, I like to go out at night, and so I've been using this belt more at the nighttime. I really don't even use this in the daytime. If anything, maybe once a month in the daytime, but I tend to use this one maybe like once every week. So that's why I said it's had about 30 wears, because I've started going out maybe in like February-ish, and so therefore, since I do go out probably like every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, out of one of those days, you'll probably see me wear this belt at nighttime. So since I do wear it at nighttime, because sometimes I don't like to carry a handbag, I like to have my hands free, and sometimes I'll just have my little key with my little pouch, and that's what I have for my identification, my keys, and I just keep my phone in my hand. So for me, for me, this belt does come in handy. But that being said, since I've only had less than 30 wears on it, as you can see, for this belt for over $1,000, it's had quite a bit of wear on it. I thought about selling it. I thought about getting rid of it. It's not that I don't like the belt, because I do. I really wish I really wasn't stubborn when I bought the belt, because when I bought the belt, the lady was telling me, you should get the brush hardware. You should get the brush hardware. It's not going to show us scratches. And me, I was so stubborn, and I really wanted the shiny one. And even all my friends, one of my friends has like a beautiful Hermes collection. She was telling me, Sergio, get the brush, get the brush, get the brush. And I was just so stubborn 2 years ago, and then I got the shiny one. And now looking back, I don't regret it, because in the moment, that's what I wanted. And so, it is what it is. But I really wish, if I could go back, I would definitely get the brush one. But since I do wear it at night, you really don't see a lot of wear on it. In photograph, you can't really see it. It's during the day, and it's during like when you're walking at the mall, or when you're walking outside, and and it's sunny, it's like the direct sunlight. But it's me whenever I go to the bars, whenever I'm washing my hands in the sink, whenever I'm putting my seatbelt on. It's all the things that kind of scratch it, and that's what makes it. Or if I'm wearing a handbag and I have the handbag in the crook of my arm, and then this chain can kind of scratch it. The things that you come in contact with that make it scratch. And since I am about 5'11", I usually fit like about the counter size, so I definitely do hit the belt a lot. And so that's why it has a lot of wear on it. So the first belt that I have in my collection is going to be the Hermes belt. The second one, I'm wearing this one for an example that I'm going to talk about in a second. And the second and the last designer belt that I have is this Givenchy belt. I got this one right before I went to Houston. I got it in the designer sale. I believe I got it for like $150. I got it because I knew that I have the Givenchy trench coat, and so I felt like it'd be like a really nice kind of combination. I knew going forward buying this belt, it wasn't going to be a belt that I would use every day. It wasn't going to be a belt that I would reach for all the time. It's a belt that I would reach for a couple times a year, and I was okay with purchasing it. So it has Givenchy. It has the little kind of Givenchy GV3. I like the stitching around the belt. And so, like I said, I knew that going in, and going in, I was okay with that. It's black, it's gold. I have a silver belt, and I'll have a gold belt, and I have 2 other basic belts, and so they go with it, and I like it. I also will say I do stand behind a lot of the things that I said in the previous video about why, for me, I'm not the biggest fan of belts, and the reason is because they tend to clash with a lot of items. So let me give you an example. So let's say this is an outfit that I would wear, right? I'm wearing a beautiful, simple, Uniqlo top from like $10 that I got on sale. I'm wearing these frame shorts. I'm wearing this beautiful Burberry, Thomas Burberry silk blouse. I wear my Coach pillow bag. And then maybe I would wear my Golden Goose, or maybe just like a designer sneaker in general. And so that being said, and then I also have my jewelry. I have a pair of sunglasses. So when you have it on, when you have all your bags on, maybe my pillow bag, or maybe I want to carry my classic flap, for me, I find that this is way too much. And you have the monogram silk blouse, you have the T sunglasses, you have, the outfit is pretty simple. You have the belt, you have the bag, and then you have the shoes, you have the jewelry. I find that it just looks way too much, like you're trying a little too hard. And for me, since I already have like the main brands that I'm wearing is usually the accessories is going to be the belt buckle and the double C's here. And so for me, I find that it clashes way too much. And for me, I would much rather, take this belt off and either wear no belt or wear kind of like a classic silver buckle. It could be a designer belt, like maybe the Row, or like a Max Mara belt, but it doesn't say the Row, it doesn't say Max Mara, or even like a simple belt that I can get at, Dillard's, at Macy's, at Kohl's, or at Nordstrom, like a very kind of simple one, like under $50, or even one like on Amazon. And so I find that, if I had a black simple belt with a classic simple buckle, I find that it would make the entire outfit, or just even without the belt, I find that sometimes belt can kind of overkill your outfits, especially if you're wearing other components of branding on it. I think belts are really great for a lot of my men out there, or a lot of my women that flashy things. Maybe they're flashy things, or maybe their sunglasses, maybe their belt, their watch, and maybe their sneakers. I think that's fine. But I think once you start adding a handbag, I think the handbag, since you are carrying it in the crook of your arm, you're carrying it as a crossbody shoulder bag, they're very next to each other. So I find that they clash a lot. I know maybe this wasn't the best example because this one's silver hardware and that one's gold, but it's 2021 and people really mix and matches their metals. But for me, since I am a big handbag lover, I do have a lot of handbags in my collection, and I only have 2 designer belts in my collection. I'm obviously always going to prioritize a handbag. I look forward to wearing a handbag than a belt. I like belts. I think they're nice additions to a wardrobe, but for me, they're not like I need to have a belt. My simple belts that I have for under $50, under $20, I'm more happy with them than the designer belts that I have. Like I said, do I regret buying these belts? Absolutely not, because there is a time and a place for them. I wear this one once a week, I wear this one occasionally, but this is not the norm. This is not something that I wear all the time. And going forward, I knew that these were not going to be items that I was going to wear every single day. And I knew that. I think a lot of people, when they buy the belt, or especially when they're starting the collection, they'll get the sunglasses, they'll get the clothes, they'll get the belts, they'll get the shoes, they'll get the jewelry, they'll get the handbag. And I find that sometimes it can be a little bit too much, and it could be kind of like trying too hard, and it can be a little overkill very easily. And so I always tell people with a lot of branding, you have to be very cautious. I think there's a way to do it very tastefully, and I think there's 2 ways to really kind of get away with that. First being first is you wear like a full fit. So if you're wearing Burberry, you have Burberry shoes, you have maybe the shirt and the shorts are fine because it has no branding, but you're wearing a Burberry belt, the Burberry silk, the Burberry sunglasses, the Burberry bag. I find that that is okay because it all goes with the set. Or maybe if you are wearing design, maybe you just kind of take a piece off. Maybe I'll take this little silk pink blouse on. Maybe instead of carrying that gold one right there, I'll carry the 19 bag, but then my shoes will be like simple no brand espadrilles, and maybe the sunglasses are all over people because they're more discreet. So there's a way to tastefully kind of get away with wearing the whole package, but it's not the norm, and it's not something that I've seen a lot of people get to do very tastefully. I think when people start their collections, including myself, I think I was a person that would wear a lot, not because I was trying to prove anything, not because I was trying to be something that I wasn't. I think I would just wear it because I really didn't know better. I really didn't know going into this kind of field, kind of going into the fashion industry. I just feel like the more logos, the more stuff is, the better. And I find that as I'm getting a lot older, I think less is a little bit more. So therefore, that really reflects my style. Like I said, if I were to wear this outfit, I'd probably wear the Burberry silk blouse. I probably would wear white Coach Cassie, my white Gucci loafers that have no branding on it, and maybe some Oliver People sunglasses, and I'll keep it moving. So I will say, if you do wear a lot more other designer accessories, or you prioritize them a little bit more, then I would say a belt is not really worth it. A belt is not really essential. My mom has like a lot of designer items. A lot of my family members have a lot of, not a lot, but they have a decent designer handbag or designer collections, and a lot of them don't even prioritize belt or even think about buying a belt as a big purchase. A lot of them have, like I said, belts that they get on the sale section, like at Macy's or at Dillard's or like at Ross or TJ Maxx, and they keep it moving. So for me, as much as I appreciate designer belts, as much as I really like them, there's a reason why I only have 2 in my collection. I don't feel like I need to have a lot of them, because then I have to feel like I have to buy the whole package, and I feel like it's overconsumption. Like I said, the belts aren't a make it or break it for me. A belt isn't my confident maker. I think everybody kind of has their confident makers or their items that they feel confident when they wear. Definitely for me, since I am losing a lot of weight, and so for me, I used to be a little bit insecure about kind of wearing like simple tops like that. So for me, all third pieces are kind of like my confidence. I love to wear sacos, I love to wear blazers, I love to wear coats, I love to wear things as third pieces. So for me, my kind of wow piece, the thing that makes me the most happiest, is obviously going to be kind of like my third piece. You know, the shoes I like, I would say, for me, if I were to pick 3, my kind of confident pieces are my third pieces and my sunglasses. I think a sunglass, I like to cover my face. Sometimes I don't like people seeing me. And then obviously a handbag. You prioritize belts a little bit more, kind of like as your wow item, then I would just kind of be a little hesitant on how you kind of style your item. I just want to make sure that all my subscribers, that everybody that loves and follows me, I just want to make sure that everybody looks very tasteful, that looks very good, that looks very classic, that, you know, you get a compliment, you're feeling yourself. But I wanted to do it in a very sophisticated and elegant way. That being said, that's how I feel about belts. I will give you kind of my recommendations on belts that I actually really like and that I think are worth the money, and I'm going to be giving you ones that I don't think. So we'll start with kind of like the negative ones that I don't care, and I'm going to be giving you my reasons why. And if you have any of these belts and you like them, that's good for you. If you like it, I love it. But these are, you know, my subscribers always ask me about my, so here's my least favorite brands or styles of belts. The first one is going to be the Burberry Plaid. You guys know I love me a good plaid moment. I love Burberry Plaid in general. I just find when it's an accessory, I find that it could clash very easily with other items. I definitely do prefer, I think Burberry makes really high quality belts. I just don't like the plaid ones at all. I think you're better, that's a little bit more tamed down, that's a little bit more a step down. But Burberry Plaid Belt is something that I'm not the biggest fan of, and it's every time I see it, I haven't went and saw a person, even if they wear a full Burberry Plaid outfit, where I think that the belt was necessary. I think Burberry Plaid belts are definitely a no for me. It's not something that I kind of like, or kind of like a wow factor. I could definitely live without a Burberry Plaid belt. The second one is the controversial Gucci belt on it. If you like it, if you're wanting to get it, do you, boo. But for me, I just feel like it's a little overdone. I bought this belt and I just felt like a poser. I think that the belt is really great quality. I think it will hold up really well, but I just think it's a little bit too overdone at this point. But like I said, if you like it and you really are happy and it brings such a bright smile for you to wear the item, then do you, babe. Like, who am I to judge you? You know, I love to see people feel confident in the items, but if you know, it's just, for me, baby, it's not my wow piece. It's not, you know, excites me. So a Gucci belt, I don't really care for it. I think it's kind of been there, done that for me and for a lot of my peers around me, but I can still appreciate a nice Gucci belt if it's styled very, very well and very tastefully. The next one is going to be the Louis Vuitton belt. I like the Burberry one. I just don't really like belts that have like a lot of monogram, a lot of things going around them. I just think that it takes away from your entire outfit. I find that the belt should complement your outfit, not, your belt shouldn't be the showstopper of the outfit, you know what I mean? Being said, kind of like the Burberry one, kind of weird to have another brand of a handbag and then kind of have a Burberry plaid belt. It looks a little weird versus you can get away with it in other categories, like a different brand of sunglasses with the bag, with the shoes, I think that's fine. But having, let's say, a Burberry belt and having a Louis Vuitton bag, it looks a little cheesy, it looks a little weird. And well, the plaid ones or the monogram ones. Same thing for the Louis Vuitton one. I think it's a little weird to have, you know, a Goyard St. Louis tote and then a Louis Vuitton monogram belt. I find that it kind of clashes. It looks a little cheesy. I think it looks a lot better. If you do like the Louis Vuitton belt, then I would wear it with whatever corresponding item it is. So if it's a monogram belt with a monogram bag, if it's a bean bag with an bean belt, if it's an empreinte with the empreinte bag. Well, I will say kind of like the empreinte and the leather ones, you can get away with wearing them with the canvas as well. For me, I just don't like the Louis Vuitton monogram, kind of like the Burberry. I find that they kind of scream a little bit too much, and I think belts should complement your outfit, not take away from your outfit. And then the last belt that I personally, guys, don't really care for is going to be the OffWhite belt. Probably the reason why I didn't like OffWhite for such a long time. I feel like the OffWhite belt was so overkill and so overdone. I recently just added my first piece of ready-to-wear and my first item from OffWhite, and I'm really pleased with the item. So I will say, you know, I did say I didn't really care for OffWhite, and it was mostly because of the belt. I could see myself maybe potentially adding another OffWhite item later down the path, but definitely not the belt. I think that the belt was a trend. I think a lot of other brands kind of did their versions of it. I just don't like how it's very industrial. I don't like how you have to tie it, how it hangs around really low. I don't think it's a very classic. I don't think it's very chic. Even like streetwear, I don't really care for the OffWhite industrial belt. It was very popular many years ago. I know people still wear it. I've just never liked that style of industrial belt. I don't really like the colorways that it also comes in with. So I will say, out of, you know, for me, I see beauty in a lot of things. So for me to really dislike something, it means I don't really like it. So these 4 belts, guys, I really don't care for. They're definitely not my favorite ones, and honestly, I could really live without them. I do have quite a bit of favorite belts that I like. I think other than those 4 brands, I think there's brands that make beautiful, more phenomenal belts. So the first category that I will say is going to be kind of like your no brand belt. So there's gonna be your designer brands that don't really scream logos. So it's gonna be The Row, it's gonna be Max Mara, it's gonna be Zenga, it's gonna be, you know, some Veronica Beard belts, it's gonna be Vince, it's gonna be, you know, those brands like that, Isabel Marant, Mont Blanc, that, you know, maybe they have like a little thing on them, but they're, for the most part, they're very clean and they're very simple. Brunello Cucinelli is another one. So if you do want to have more of that super luxurious belt experience, but you don't want a brand to be behind it, I would look into one of those kind of more clothing brands that just happen to have leather goods, and I find that you could find something that you would like. I would particularly recommend this one from The Row, and I have thought about purchasing it, and it's maybe a purchase that I would do before the end of the year, but I will say this Row belt I really like. So if you do want that luxury experience, you do want a luxury brand belt, I would check with some of the kind of clothing brands and look at their leather good categories, and I'm pretty sure you'll find something that you will like. But as far as kind of more branded belts, I think for me, the next belt, if I were to add one, and this would be the next one that I have, I think this is such a bread and butter. Every time I see somebody have a Ferragamo belt, I think that they look so good. I think they look so put together. I think it's so classic. I think it's so elegant. For me, I love a Ferragamo belt. I love a Ferragamo belt on a woman. I love Ferragamo belt on a guy. I've always been a big fan of Ferragamo belts. I think even in the larger sizes, you can kind of get away with it. The little smaller sizes, I think Ferragamo really makes beautiful shoes, makes beautiful belts, makes beautiful leather goods in general. I think that even though the Ferragamo belts are somewhat popular, I don't think they get the recognition and the love that they deserve. I think Ferragamo belts are absolutely beautiful. I think that they're so underrated. So my first choice, besides these 2 that I have here, the Givenchy and the Hermes belts, because I'm not going to be mentioning them because I have them in my collection. If I were to add another belt into my collection, it would definitely be a classic Ferragamo belt. I think Ferragamo, you can never go wrong with, and Ferragamo is such an underrated brand in general. I know people know about it, people talk about it, but I think Ferragamo does not get the recognition that it deserves. So I think Ferragamo is definitely Sergio's Secret approved, and I love to see a good handsome man, a good beautiful woman, and a nice Ferragamo belt, and I will compliment it if it all looks good. So Ferragamo belt, guys, is definitely going to be for the win. The next belt that I really like that is a great alternative to the Gucci belt is the Valentino belt. Here in Texas, you know, people do wear Valentino, but not really. Valentino is still kind of, you know, it's still perceived, you know, as a little bit more mysteryness. Definitely here in Texas, well, here in this market, you definitely have more of the Gucci's, the Vuittons, the, you know, more of those brands that are a little bit more out there. But I think Valentino is very classic, it's very elegant, and if you do want to have incorporation of a branded belt, I think that the Valentino ones are beautiful, regardless if you get this beautiful super thick ones or if you get the little bit thinner ones or if you get the classic size ones with denim. I think that Ferragamo belts are done impeccably very well. They are a little bit more pricey than the Gucci ones, but I just love the classic V. And one thing I will say about this one is that you can mix and match it with a lot more, because it is reversible versus a Gucci belt is not reversible. Even though you are paying a little bit more, you have the option to have it reversible, so it brings more bang for your buck, especially if those two colors that are reversible are going to be colors that you're going to be wearing. So the Valentino belt, I highly recommend it. I think it's a really great alternative to the Gucci belt. If you do want another kind of clean-cut classic belt, maybe not the row, I think that the Bottega Veneta triangle belts are really pretty. It has kind of like that Daniel Lee era. It's just a super classic belt. It doesn't really have like a lot of branding on it. It looks very clean-cut and minimalistic. So if you do want, you know, something where people can tell if it's Bottega, but it doesn't scream Bottega, I think that the triangle one is really beautiful and it's really done very nicely. So I do recommend the Bottega Veneta triangle belt. The next one is going to be a Gucci belt, but this Gucci belt I actually do really like, and I think I bought it before, but the one that I bought ended up having like a little bit of wear on it, so I ended up returning it and I just never repurchased it. Gucci Horsebit, and now I just thought about the Dionysus belt. I think that the Dionysus and the Horsebit belt by Gucci, that's another great alternative than the Gucci Marmont belt. I think those are really beautiful. I think they're so classic. They're so heritage of Gucci. Ooh, especially if you have the Gucci loafers and you wear the Gucci Horsebit or like the Horsebit bags. Love it. Or the same thing with the Dionysus. You have a Dionysus bag and you wear it with a Dionysus belt. Oh my god, it's such a beautiful and classic and corresponding set. I think that those two belts from Gucci are done very well, and I highly a lot more than the Marmont. I think that those are really well done belts. I think they're so beautiful. They're very Italian. They're very Gucci, and I'm 100% here for that. This one that I'm going to recommend is going to be the Tom Ford T belt. I don't really talk a lot about Tom Ford fashion. I do talk about Tom Ford eyewear and beauty a little bit on this channel, but not a lot about the belt. This is a belt that if I see a guy with a Tom Ford belt, that's what he's talking about. Like the Tom Ford belt is like another kind of like, I kind of prefer, like I think if I were to go back, I really wouldn't buy the Hermes H belt. I think I'd buy the Tom Ford belt. I think after, if I get the Ferragamo belt, I think a next one that I would get would be a Tom Ford belt. I think the Tom Ford belt is so classic, it's so elegant, it's not overdone like the Hermes H belt. No, it's not really done. I just kind of said that like that one's a little bit more popular, but if you want something that kind of has that wow Hermes H factor, I think that the Tom Ford T one is another one that's done really well. The few times that I have seen this belt on a man, baby, they look on point. Haircut, shoes, persona, vibe, everything on point. I'm going to recommend the Tom Ford T belt, definitely one to consider. I believe that they don't have them for women. I could be completely wrong. I know for men they have them. Every time I walk by Neiman Marcus they have them, and I think it's a beautiful, and I have touched them and I have felt them, and they seem like pretty great quality, and it's such a beautiful belt. And I feel like even if you have like a studio suit, a Hugo Boss suit, and you put that on, you kind of give the whole Tom Ford aesthetic and the Tom Ford vibe. So Tom Ford belt, yes, I definitely love it. The belt that I really like is going to be, this is going to be for more of my flashy person, my more gaudy person. I definitely do have a little bit of a flashy alter ego a little bit. So if you do like kind of like that gaudy, kind of like flashy moment, but still in a very nice and tasteful way, the Versace Medusa belt I actually quite like. I like that it just has a simple Medusa. I think the Medusa head is not too big, it's not too small, it's done perfectly well. I like it. So if you are a flashy person, you know, Versace is a very flashy brand. You know, as much as we like the gold with the black, it still pops out at you. It's very Versace. So I think that if you do want to incorporate the Medusa belt, I think it's a very great belt. I think it's very classic. I believe it's $4.95. I think that's a really reasonable price for a designer belt. And so if you do want to live that gay Versace fantasy moment, by all means live your gay Versace fantasy moment, period. I love it. And then the last belt that I'm going to recommend, and this is going to be my one and my only contemporary pick. How can I not mention this video without mentioning my homegirl Tori? I'm going to recommend the classic Tori Birch belt, and for the most part they're all under $228. I think it's very classic, very minimalistic. It just has the classic tee. You can wear them with your Miller sandals, you can wear them with your handbag, you can wear them dressed up, you can wear it dressed down. And what I like about old toy Birch belts, for the most part, like 90% of them, they're reversible. So, and a lot of them are kind of going to be like the chestnut color and kind of like that black, and you get it in the gold hardware or in the silver hardware, so you can really mix and match it and make it what you want it to be. So I will recommend the Tory Birch one as a really great temporary alternative. But yeah guys, these are going to be kind of my thoughts and my opinions on designer belts, how I feel about them, my collections, the ones that I like, the ones that I don't like. I would love to hear your thoughts and your opinions down below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? And what are other designer belts that you feel like are underrated or that you're kind of over with? I would definitely love to hear it down below. I'll leave everything that I talked about down below, including what I'm wearing, if you're interested. I want to say thank you so much for all my subscribers watching this video. I love each and every single one of you, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye guys, and take care.